Hello, this is Jay Denson of Fit Health Well, and I'd like to thank you guys for coming in and listening to another great episode that we have for you today. And I have a very special guest with me today. I'm very excited to have her. Her name is Simone Gisondi, and she is a certified holistic nutritional consultant. And for those that's been listening to the podcast, I'm big on dieting and proper dieting and nutrition for the body. And I want to make sure that I'm bringing you guys enough information as I can related to that topic. So when I seen Simone, what she was offering on her website, and something a little different that we haven't introduced yet is meal plans, kind of just to aid you along the lines of a better, just a healthier alternative and lifestyle. So we're going to really get into that today and dive into just what she does. So first and foremost, hello, Simone, how are you?
Hi, Jay. I'm really well. How are you?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much. I'm grateful to have you today. And, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your background, and why you chose this profession.
Absolutely. Actually, first off, I want to thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to talk with you about my practice, about holistic natural health, about natural therapies. As you mentioned, I'm a certified holistic nutritional consultant. I'm also a holistic cancer practitioner, regenerative detoxification specialist, and I'm also a personal trainer because I really believe in the power of movement. I should also actually add fasting specialist because fasting is extremely helpful and extremely important to health. So I've studied both here in Canada as well in the US. And I'm also currently studying other integrative healing modalities that really complete the fundamentals of holistic approaches to health. They also support the body on its healing journey. So that's a very important thing to really have a well-rounded approach to health. In the realm of health healing, it's really all about achieving the client's goal. It starts with the mind and the body follows. So we want to make sure that we address all those components. And the reason why I chose this profession, to answer your second question, is I really, and I know it's going to sound cliche, but I really want to help people. I want to be able to give people back their family, their loved ones. My dad had actually 2 cancers. So he was in dire straits. And I feel that when his health was given back to him, he was given back to me. So I want to be able to do that for people so that they don't have to lose their parents, they don't have to lose their kids, they don't have to suffer from a poor quality of life, things of that nature. So I'm just here to serve and help people back to the path of health.
I'll tell you right now, that's an amazing mission, and it's very commendable. And first of all, thank you for your service and just choosing this path. And I think with myself as well too. I think what we're finding is when later in life, or even anywhere in life rather, when we have cancerous causes and things like that, as experts are diving into these things, right? They're finding a lot of this stuff is coming from the foods we eat or the choices we made. I think for myself and what my parents and grandparents were taught was always hereditary and things like that. But as we're educating ourselves, we're learning that it's really coming down to the decisions regarding the food that, the foods that we decide to put into our bodies and things like that. So, it's good that we're at the forefront. And again, we're still learning with a lot of this information, but definitely, this is definitely a good thing. So we're going to get into the first question. And what the first question is, I want to, you spoke about detoxing, right? So let's dive into that a bit. Just explain for someone listening to this for the first time, what is detoxing and what's the proper way to do it?
Absolutely. So just to sort of piggyback on what you just said, it's very important to understand, like you said, that nutrition is fundamental to the body's ability to be well. Yet too often in life right now, it takes a back seat. So nutrition takes a back seat to the pace of today's lifestyle, which is so centered in convenience and everything being quick, everything being cheap. So as a result, the tendency to take shortcuts, which people do, and we all do, often leads to food choices that, while are tasty and great and quick, over time, they actually begin to impact the ability to feel healthy. Because over that time, it has created damage in the body, just like you said. So think of things like fatigue, digestive issues, bloating, gas, achy joints, headaches, unexplained weight gain, constipation, lack of energy, recurring colds, things of that nature. Most are attributed to signs of aging, but that is so not the case. That's not what it is at all. They are just symptoms, signals that the body is out of balance and needs a little bit of help. That's all it is. And you know what? Good foods don't have to be bland. They don't have to be complex. They don't have to be time consuming to be delicious and nutritious. And nutrient-rich foods and foods combining, like the way that you combine foods so that they're actually good for your digestive system, are the basis of long-term good health. I mean, Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So clearly food can be your medicine so that you can get yourself to a state of wellness. And Anne Wigmore said that food can either be the slowest form of poison or the quickest way to health. So clearly those are the fundamentals. So what professionals like myself do, we remove the guesswork so we could get better results for our clients. There's a huge difference between merely guessing what you should eat, what vitamins to take, what supplements you should incorporate in your lifestyle, and having the expert guidance of a skilled professional, a nutritionist that has studied how foods affect the body at cellular level. So nutrition counseling, what it does, it helps identify, it helps understand, it helps address the poor health conditions that are caused by these imbalances. Either an excess or deficiency of a nutrient creates an imbalance in the body, and then it affects the bodily functions, and cumulatively over time, it leads to poor health. So the first step is to stop guessing, because what we do as nutritionists, before we make any recommendations to our clients, we help them understand what's happening in the body and why it's actually happening. So we're looking for root causes. I explain the findings to my clients, then we work together, we develop an easy to understand and easy to follow program, and that helps the body return to a state of balance so that it can regenerate, it can rebuild, it can heal, which in turn will restore the client's feelings of good health and wellness. But in particular, detoxification, what it does is it soothes, it heals, and it provides the body with alkalinity. So it allows it to remove acids so that it can be brought back into balance and to a state of health and vitality so that it can function optimally as it's meant to. But I do want to emphasize that detoxification goes beyond just the physical. Like we were talking earlier, there are a few pillars to health. It always includes the emotional as well. So the negative emotions like anger, like resentment, those actually play a huge role in health. As well as the mental ones, so that we want to eliminate those negative thoughts. I want to emphasize to everybody, the person is more than just a body. And oftentimes, if the emotions that they feel are suppressed or trapped and they're left unaddressed, true lasting healing just cannot occur. So we want to make sure we detoxify on all levels.
I love that. I love that, you know, but, and generally this is important, guys, when she just said, because when we hear detox, right, like a lot of people, we think juice cleanse, right? Or we think, you know, smoothie.
That's right.
And we don't think about the mental aspect of it, right? And those mental barriers that surround the conditions and things that we have. What, like, and I want to, before we get on to the next topic, and we're still on detoxing, folks, let's speak to that mental aspect. What are you finding that people, I don't want to, maybe this is the right wording, but what are you finding they're obsessing over, or what are you finding what's the biggest barrier in terms of the mental aspect?
I think a lot of people think they can't. So they go into it with fear that they're not capable of doing it, or it's not for them, or that it's too hard, or that it's too long, and they actually override the body's natural and innate built-in system to actually do things on its own terms, on its own time, and on its own schedule. And what I usually do when I talk with my clients is to look at it exactly as you look at when in pregnancy. Pregnancy develops in its own natural rhythm, on its own natural timetable, and its own schedule. And the baby comes to full term only within that time frame when nature is done doing what it's meant to do and what it's supposed to do for true health, for a baby to be born healthy and fully developed. And on the same token, when it comes to the mental aspect of it, think of a woman that thinks she cannot, the pain is just too great and she can't give birth. But a lot of women give birth. A lot of women go through the process. Sure, it's hard. Sure, it's painful, but it's doable, and we do it multiple times. So you know what? Everything that's out there, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, it's doable. So that's one of the aspects of what I do with my clients. I empower them to believe in themselves and their ability to overcome and their ability to do the things that they want to do. And it's just a matter of, like you said, removing that mental block, and on they go, and amazing health they find.
That's amazing. And the thing about it as well too, and I've spoken to so many professionals, and on our programs and even on our future programs, the mental health aspect is such an important component, right? In our everyday lives, and we really need to be attentive to that, because if our mind is not right, we won't have the discipline, right, in order to move forward with these things and these programs and these initiatives. It can be there in the beginning. But again, if we have distractions or we have mental barriers, that could be harmful. Now, I want to speak to, because this is important. I know what this is, but I'd like you to explain it as well, just for listeners who may be listening to this for the first time and are ignorant to what this is. But acidity, right, and alkaline to the body. Can you just break that down, right, and how it's important in terms of balance and harmful in the benefits?
Absolutely. So alkalinity and acidity is, it can be seen on the pH scale. So we have the pH scale, which dictates what's alkaline and what's acid. So think of battery acids. When you let's say pour some on your skin, what does it do? It breaks down the tissue, it breaks down the skin. It goes right through it. It burns right through. That's what acids do inside the body. Whereas the alkalis are the ones that soothe, are the ones that bring in the hydration that's necessary for the tissue to thrive. And with the hydration, for example, in water, we have the oxygen as well. So obviously the cell or the tissue gets hydrated, it gets fed its nutrients that it needs, it gets the oxygen that it needs. That's not what acids do. So when we have too many acids inside the body, that's what usually leads to the breakdown of tissue. That's what leads it to mutate. Whereas if you bring in alkalinity into the body, it actually makes sure that it goes in and cleans up that, what the acids have done. It removes the blockages for the cells to really thrive. It cleanses, it brings in the hydration, it brings in the nutrients. And now the nutrients provide the cells with what they need to regenerate and to rebuild. So if you look on a pH scale, for example, I'm going to take a drink such as, let's say, soft drinks like Coca-Cola. It's very low on the pH scale in the 2-3 zone. That's where acids reside. Blood, which is the most alkaline, is at 7.14. Water is in that same zone. So we want to make sure that we go towards the alkaline side of the pH scale, and we stay away from things that are on the lower end of the scale, which is where acids reside. So that's what happens. We take in acids, they go in, they do the damage to the tissue, they create mutations, they create imbalance, and then you get the symptoms of unwellness and disease.
I love it, Simone. You know what you're talking about. This is, guys, listen,
Yes.
she's breaking it down. Like, this is so important, and we wouldn't think too much of it, right? Like those two simple components and how they're introduced to our body. If we're not monitoring it correctly, right, it could be detrimental. So someone's probably listening to this and they're saying, well, I eat a lot of oranges and that's acidic. Is that harmful? What is, in terms of foods that are healthy and have an acidic component, how much is too much, right? That's part one of the question. And then part two is, what alkalinity foods or beverages with water included can we introduce to help us, maintain that balance in our body?
Right. So for example, just like you said, things like oranges are thought to be obviously acidic. And the body operates in a state of balance. So you do need to have a good balance of acidity and alkalinity for the body to be able to function properly. And to give you an example, for example, the estrogen hormone is slightly acidic. And progesterone, on the other hand, which is part of the menstrual cycle for women, is alkaline. However, they do balance each other out, and they're both necessary for the health of the body because it's a naturally occurring hormone. Obviously, estrogen is a naturally occurring thing in the body, and it's necessary for menstruation, and menstruation is necessary for a woman's proper hormonal balance, right? So we do need to have both of those things. So while we do have in nature foods and nutrients that do have a slight alkaline and a little bit more acidity, it still has that proper balance that the body needs. And overall, if you look at fruits, if you look at vegetables, they both provide those things in proper ratios. If you take an apple, for example, it has hundreds, and I'm talking hundreds of nutrients in that little piece of fruit. And everything is ratioed properly so that it provides what the body needs, so that they balance each other out, they work synergistically. So there's never in nature anything that has improper balance for anything when it comes to nutrients. When improper balance comes into play is when we have things like medications. Those are not taken from in the way that exactly how nature makes them, in the way that nature produces them. To have those proper ratios that bring the body what it needs. Another example is a lot of people take a lot of calcium. That's not a balanced approach to things because calcium needs magnesium so that it can balance out what the body needs. So it's the calcium magnesium kind of thing. The same thing, the proper ratio is necessary. However, we're not able to guess or pinpoint exactly how much each individual needs because everybody is biochemically unique. Everybody's biochemically different. The state of health they are at any given time is just a guess. We have to sit down and we have to obviously do a proper intake. That's what we do as professionals. We do a proper intake where we have a look at the person's state of health at the moment, what their dietary habits are, what their lifestyle is, so we can see what the gaps are and we can pinpoint what they are doing to either bring the body in a state of alkalinity, in the state of balance, or in a state of acidity. So that's usually what I do, and that's what obviously all my peers, my nutritional peers do. We sit down, we look at exactly what is done. We look at medical history, any diagnosis, dietary habits, lifestyle, and then from that, we're able to gauge where we're going to go, what we're going to develop, what kind of a plan is appropriate for them. If there are on any medications, we obviously look at contraindications to make sure that we address it from a very safe standpoint, that we're not going to introduce anything to the body that it's not ready for at that given time.
That's great. And again, thank you for that information. Again, balance is definitely important, right? And you know, monitoring it just feels good and I had to ask that question because I'm pretty sure, you know, someone was like, well, I eat apples and I eat oranges and that's acidic and, you know, information can be crazy, but just to sum it up, you know, she said it, right? Like you can have an apple and the body is able to balance that and it has all the nutrients that your body needs in that. So that's what I took from that as well. So thank you for that. It was definitely important to hear that. Your website.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nature has it all figured out in a way that we just cannot perfect it in the way Mother Nature has perfected it. That's for sure.
And I feel like too, right, it's like a lot of people that get into like macro counting and calorie counting and things like that. But if honestly, what I personally feel, this isn't my, you know, expert opinion on it, but if you're eating the right foods, I don't think quantity is too much. I had someone on the show previously, and she said, you know, vegetables and fruits are low calorie foods and you can eat a bunch of that. You know, you can have a lot of it and it's not going to be detrimental to your health. So, you know, again, when you hear those things, it kind of reinforces, you know, where you are on that scale and on that table, and just letting you know if you're on the right path. Your website is great, and we'll get into her website a little later in the podcast towards the end. But one of the benefits to detox, and I want to probably get into maybe about 2 or 3 of these. Given the climate, right, the current climate of COVID-19, a healthy immune system is very, very important. And a lot of people, I'm getting a lot of questions about that. And you have that listed as one of your benefits, which is giving your immune system a boost. Let me know.
That's right.
Yeah. So how do you go about that in terms of coaching your clients and what they can do to help boost their immune system, especially during this period?
Yeah, so I'm a huge believer, Jay, that right now is actually the best time to invest in health for further down the line when the flu season hits come November, December, October, the fall season. So it's very important. And yes, absolutely. The immune system is really the epicenter of health. The immune system, what it does is it actually identifies invaders in the body, and then it unleashes an attack with what it has available to itself to eliminate or to override those invaders, to eliminate them out of the body so the body can return to a state of balance and be able to function properly again. And how do we actually support the immune system? So again, if it's the epicenter of health, what have we been taught that is actually important for health? A great sound diet, a great lifestyle, and physical activity. And of course, let us not forget about what we talked about earlier, the emotional and mental health. It's very important that you're in a positive state of mind. And believe it or not, and this is something that I wanted to address, there are actually many resentful emotions that are stored and anger emotions that are stored in the liver. So that completely destabilizes the liver. It takes it out of balance. The immune system works with the entire organ system in the body. It works with the entire body as an overall to be able to maintain the equilibrium that it needs. So when you're going to introduce things that are not conducive to health, like, for example, bad thoughts or negative emotions, bad foods, unhealthy lifestyle, like, for example, people that smoke or people that don't get adequate sleep, people that don't hydrate properly, people that are sedentary and they don't get movement, that is what actually brings down the immune system, and it's not able to do what it's meant to do. It's not able to protect the body so that it can stay strong. When you have a strong immune system, even in the face of disease or anything like what we're facing today with COVID or anything else, the flu season, a cold, anything, let's say like pneumonia, something more, something bigger, something harsher. Those are the things that the immune system can actually go towards and be able to handle them, provided that the immune system is strong to begin with. So it's so, so important. If ever anybody takes anything away from anything related to health, is to always invest in the immune system, to invest in the health of the body so that it can actually handle and withstand whatever it comes against.
And that's good, exactly, because again, as I'm right now during this period, I'm following a lot of the information on COVID, and even experts, right, that are still learning about it. But I think the one thing that we are learning as a society right now with COVID is that a healthy immune system does give you a better chance at fighting it if you come in encounter with it, right? It's not a definitive, like it'll prevent you from getting it, but it gives you a better chance. And I think the people that are suffering from COVID, or unfortunately that have passed, studies have shown this, and the data is out there, were the people that had weakened immune systems, right? So it's definitely important to be attentive to that. And if someone's listening to this right now, just in terms of from a nutritional aspect, is it anything that we could be doing right now that could help us a little better? And you don't have to give us a full thing, just something brief, because I want something for people to come to you to reference you on. But just give us maybe one thing that'll help us on a nutrition aspect, that'll help us boost the immune system.
I would say, as an overall, when it comes to nutrition, eat nutritionally dense foods. I always recommend clean, whole foods in their natural state, the way that Mother Nature made them, and preferably organic, so that they're not sprayed with anything that the body would find to really impact its state of health. Those are the foods that really help. And I want to emphasize, and that's the reason why people should work with professionals. A calorie is never a calorie across the board in anything that people ingest. A calorie that comes from, let's say, a bagel is not the same calorie that comes from, let's say, an apple or an orange. The sugar, the same way. The sugar that you find in refined products is not the same sugar that you find in an apple or in a banana or in an orange. So it's important that you take the guesswork out of it and you work with professionals. But across the board, I am willing to bet everything I have that every nutritional professional will tell people to ensure that they eat whole foods in their natural state, clean foods, get adequate hydration to be able to get all the nutrition out of those foods. A lot of times we look at things that are out there on the market, and I will call those food-like items. So they're not the way that Mother Nature made them. They are actually taken, refined, stripped of their nutrition, put together differently without proper balance. too much sugar, not enough of something else, not enough water, not enough nutrients. And then you have people actually consuming things that the body does not feel satisfied from. So you take in empty calories, but no nutrition, no real nutrients. So what people do, they end up training their body to continue eating because the body keeps asking for nutrition. But consciously, we're not aware that the body's asking for nutrition. You just feel, oh, I'm hungry. People go and they take another bagel, or they take another food that actually has almost zero nutrients and a lot of calories. So they keep ingesting the calories, but the body keeps asking for the nutrients. So they end up getting stuck in that vicious cycle of eating things that don't provide the body with what it needs. The body keeps asking, and you go back to eating, but you keep eating the things that the body doesn't benefit from. The body asks again, so on and so forth. Whereas if you, like you said, and that was so fantastic, when you eat things like fruits and vegetables that are not calorie dense, so they have less calories, but they have all the nutrients that the body needs. And to be honest with you, I'm willing to ask anybody, can you ever get to eat so much salad that you're going to get fat on it? Likely not, because the calories do not support the level of I guess, the body's ability to get to be obese or fat just on fruits and vegetables. It's impossible. It's impossible. And the body really benefits from all the nutrition, from all the dense nutrients that it gets.
Absolutely. And I think just that was funny, because I've never heard anyone say, oh man, I had too much salad today. I feel terrible. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. You know, again, you can, if you're really gonna go crazy over everything, you might as well go crazy over the stuff that's going to benefit your body. That was a great segment, really, just because, and I want you guys to digest this. I do this every time when I ask a question, and I feel like there was some important conversation and dialogue during that. And again, my takeaway, guys, as you're listening to this is stay away from processed, right? Because she literally summarized it. There's a lot of stuff out there that peg themselves as healthy and things like that. But again, you're stripping it from the natural element. You're adding sugars, you're adding starches and things like that. And these things aren't really benefiting the body. So you have to raise your level of awareness as to, as Simone mentioned, just have everything as closest to organically grown as you can. I don't know where you are with this, but I've spoken to vegan runners as well too. But I've had people, and I don't know. You let me know what your thoughts on it is. But raw foods as well. Even if you don't have it raw, maybe steamed, just so that it can retain a lot of those vitamins. Is raw? Would you say raw veggies and things like that is really probably the most beneficial in terms of getting the most nutrients out of it?
Absolutely, Jay, and I'll tell you why. When we expose things to high heat, what the heat does, it actually destroys the nutrients and all the other beneficial things that are in foods. So in particular, fruits and vegetables in the raw state contain digestive enzymes. They contain the enzymes that are necessary. Like if we're going to look at pineapple, for example, it contains enzymes that actually helps the digestive process in the body for us. Whereas when you eat foods that are devoid of all of that, what the body needs to do is tap into its own supply of enzymes to break down the food that has been completely obliterated with the heat. And there is a certain level, and that's another reason why people need to work with professionals, because there is a certain level of heat that foods can tolerate before they lose their nutritional value. So if you're going to eat it in its raw state, you get all the benefits of all the nutrients, you get the enzymes, you get everything the body needs so that the body can actually absorb all of that and up its supplies of what it has available in the event that it does get sick. So you always want to make sure that you have all your reserves full, so that when the body does come across something that it needs extra supplies, for lack of a better term, it actually has something to tap into to be able to do that. When we do expose it to heat, and there's scientific proof out there, and I encourage people to do research on YouTube. There are videos. If you were to take something that measures, let's say, energy, because we are all energy, everything is energy in the universe, and you were to put them to, let's say, a fruit, you will see that the fruit will give off so much energy, and it's connected to this thing, that it lights up. The bulb that it's connected to, it lights up. And the same thing is done when it's applied to a piece of food that has been refined and cooked and so on and so forth. And that little bulb does not light up. So that right there is an amazing visual for people to see that energy is actually in foods that are left exactly as Mother Nature has made them. When you go and you try to manipulate and take away some of the things and you refine it and you apply certain things to it like heat, then you're really starting to change the chemistry. And it's the chemistry that the body needs to make sure that it maintains its sense of wellness and its balance. When we go and we manipulate that, then we're not taking in the things that are optimal for the body.
And that's great to know it. And, you know, again, and as I was learning and I was educating myself too, I think one of the worst ways to prepare veggies is to boil them, because you're literally taking all of those nutrients and it's in the water. Right. And I found that out. It blew my mind when I first found that out. And I remember when I was younger, and my grandmother, she grew up on the farm. She worked on a farm. And I remember she used to always eat carrots and corn. She was watching them eat them right there. And I'm like, Grandma, you didn't cook it. She's like, I don't need to cook it. It's fresh. And, you know, a lot of times we learn that later in life, like, okay, there is a benefit from it. And anybody listening to this as well, you know, I've seen them when you go to the grocery store, the supermarket, they have the veggie platters, right? And, you know, again, like it comes with the carrots or the broccoli or the cauliflower or celery and things like that. So, you know, just find creative ways. I will do some research in terms of finding out what's the appropriate heat in order to retain the nutrients. So thank you for that, Simone, as well. And then also in later episodes, we're going to start exploring, because I know taste is a big thing with people trying to be healthy, but, you know, we'll figure out. I like Mrs. Dash because it really isn't any salt in it. It's just natural stuff. Or I use natural herbs like paprika or cilantro, a little bit of lemon, just to kind of give it a bit more flavor. But we'll look into stuff like that down the line. There's one more thing I want to address from your list that I thought was beneficial.
Absolutely.
I suffer from this as well, and it's sugar addiction. Okay, and you know, there's been studies on that, and honestly, like, you know, when I tell you I've done a 180 with my diet, probably within the past 10 years, it's amazing. But even with the leaps and bounds that I've made, I still have weak moments. I have moments where I've eaten great for a week, and I don't know what it is in my body. I don't know if it's a chemical response, but I'm like, you know, I want a can of soda. I want a ginger ale. Like, that's my drink of choice. And I'll have it. I know it won't hurt me, but it's worse for some other people. So, addressing the sugar addiction, right? How do we correct that, or how do we minimize it? Because as a society, we really are. We're just so addicted to like refined sugars and sweets, and it's hard to tell somebody, hey, give up the ice cream, give up the, you know, here's the fruit. And how do we address that properly?
Yeah, you're so right, actually. So what happens out there, and there is so much scientific data that if people have the time to actually do the research, they will come to see. So what is actually put into a lot of the food-like products that are out there, especially snacks and things of that nature, and for people that have issues with sugar addiction or salt addiction, those people that have salt addictions actually have compromised adrenal glands, and the body's constantly asking for sugar. On the other hand, people that have sugar addictions, or a sweet tooth, as we call it, actually probably have an imbalance of candida. So there's too much candida in the body, and it's the candida that's asking for the sugar. So we have these, and of course there's other things like parasites that reside inside our body that are asking to be fed. So they override that whole the body's innate and natural way of functioning. And when they ask to be fed, that triggers off the craving for sugar, and that's what leads people to go in and take the sugar. How to address that? It's actually it's very simple, to be honest with you. If you were to stay away from the things that are out there that contain so much refined sugar, and I really think it's worth mentioning, a lot of that stuff is made in a way that it overrides the brain's ability to really respond in the natural way to the body's requirement for sugar. So they put in chemicals in foods that override your biochemistry, which triggers these kind of requirements for the body. Like you feel like I have to have sugar right now, just like you said with fizzy drinks and people that eat candy or chocolate or things of that nature. So the best way to do it is to train the body, just like you trained the body to crave it by constantly consuming things that contain it. In the same way, if you were to, let's say, slowly take your diet to a level where you take in things that have the natural things that the body needs, and I can attest to this because I've gone through it and I've experimented everything that I preach on myself many, many times. Once you move your diet to that level of taking in only what's nutrient dense and it has the proper sugars, the natural sugars, your body will no longer have those unstable cravings like you are a demon on a path to make sure that they take in sugar. And trust me, I've gone because I used to have an addiction. I love bread and pasta and all those things. Carbs were my friends. And you know what? I did a reset. So another thing for those that are more brave, you can do, if you do a 3-day fast. So this is what I usually do. 72 hours is the magic number. At the 3-day mark, your body's immune system has reset. Your body's natural rhythms have been brought back into balance. And the body is now functioning exactly as it should. It is difficult because you are going to go through the hunger phases. But if you're able to be steadfast and continue on that path, you will see that on day 2, that desire for hunger has actually subsided. So your desire to eat is not as strong anymore. By day 3, you feel an immense energy and a state of wellness like no other. However, a lot of people can't do that because we're used to eating every day. So the way, when I work with my clients, what I do is I slowly take things out of their diets that I know are detrimental, and I make substitutions. So as a takeaway for anybody who goes through these kind of things, and for yourself as well, Jay, if you feel this need for sugar, like I have to have it because otherwise I'm going to be hangry, best thing to do, you know what's great because they're very sugary? Dates. So dates are very sweet. They give you that sugar kick, but it's natural sugar. And you also, out of it, you get fiber, which is great for elimination. So the body needs the fiber. Whereas from a bottle of Diet Coke or whatever you drink, Sprite or any of the other fizzy drinks that people drink out there, what do you get? You get so little in the way of nutrition, actually none. You just get the sugar, you get the caffeine, you get the colorants and the additives that they put in it, and your body has nothing to do with that but put it as in the fat cells. So that's why people who drink those kind of things, constant sugar, that's why they end up gaining weight. But things like a banana, which is very sugary, or a date, which is very sugary, if you're not in dire need for extreme sugar, any other fruit will do. It's natural sugar and it provides hydration as well. If you think of an apple, it's juicy, so you get to satiate and you also get to take in hydration.
That's good. And when you, just for clarity, anyone listening to this, when you said the 3-day fast, you're speaking of a 3-day fast from sugar, right? Refined sugar. Are you speaking in that realm?
You can do a 3-day fast. I mean, fasting is different, but a true fast means that you abstain from eating. So you abstain from eating altogether. And people are aware of, like, there's intermittent fasting where you do fast between, 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours, so on and so forth. But a true fast means that you abstain from anything going into your mouth. So you're not ingesting anything. What the body does, it takes a break from constantly digesting, assimilating, distributing nutrients in the body. So all that energy that's now left to the body, because usually we need to utilize a lot of energy to digest, all the energy that's left in the body now can actually be redirected towards healing. So the body takes it and it goes and it cleans up all the mutated cells. It cleans up all the debris inside the body, takes up the metabolic waste, it shuttles it out of the body. So it's really a great way to give the body a break and give an example to people just so that they can understand it from a bigger and better perspective. Imagine if you had to work 24 hours a day like the body does. 24 hours a day you were in front of your computer, or you were running and you were managing, and you didn't get to sleep. In that 24-hour period, you did not take a break. You did not take a day off. You would have no weekends. You'd be working and working and working. You would be exhausted. That's basically what we do to the body. That's what we do to the digestive system. We force so much food that it has to process. And oftentimes, believe it or not, and there's scientific backing for this, most people, for example, you eat your breakfast and it's so heavy, like people that have eggs and toast and bacon and things of that nature. That's a lot to break down. That's a lot for the body. Come lunchtime, people are eating their next meal when the body has not even finished the work that it was doing on the first meal. So now they have another heavy meal at lunch. And I've seen a lot of people, and I've worked with clients. I look at their dietary habits, and they say that they've been to McDonald's for lunch. So now the body's trying to figure out a way to deal with the breakfast that you had with the eggs and bacon and toast and the McDonald's. And right now you're already going towards your dinner. So the body hasn't even finished working on the 2 previous meals. Imagine how much work you put on the digestive system, and imagine how much food is inside of you that has not been processed yet.
That is an amazing, actually, that is really an amazing illustration of what you gave us, because we don't take time to think about that. And I know I certainly haven't, right? I was that type of person. And when I had a desk job as well, I would eat really, really heavy. I think my only little saving grace was because I was so active and I worked out, I was able to burn some of it off. But when you think about, as you mentioned before, people that are sedentary and they're sitting in a desk all day and they have a big breakfast, right? They have a big lunch, and then we're not even counting the snacks in between before dinner.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
We're not even talking about.
I forgot about that.
Exactly. People are snacking. They're not just having 3 meals. They're having snacks in between. So you're right. Like, guys, like, we got to, every once in a while, we have to take the time to give our bodies a rest. And thank you for that visualization, because, our bodies is us. And, when we treat our bodies in terms of working constantly, it will burn out. You mentioned this earlier, and this is something, actually, one of my talking points I wanted to talk to about parasites, right? How do we get parasites? Like, are they already in our body? Are they introduced to us? And how would you typically treat them?
So basically, parasites we actually take them in through foods. They're small, so we don't see them. But we do, like, for example, sushi, as an example, because it's raw fish. There are a lot of parasites in sushi that people ingest without even realizing it. And then they take up residence in our body. And they sit there, they eat, and they do their thing just like we do in our environment. So when a body is in a state that supports the survival and the thriving of these parasites, it invites them in. And they have a great house. So basically what we eat and the state of the internal environment inside our bodies determines and creates what is either suitable for the parasites or hostile to the parasites. It's really that simple. If your body is clean and they have no source of food, they will die. Whereas if your body is constantly giving them what they need, they thrive, they survive. And I don't mean to be gross here, but the reality is that just like every other organism in the world here on our planet, ourselves included, or any other organism, whether you're talking about a snake or whether you're talking about an ant, whether you're talking about anything, and these are organisms as well, we all eat, we breathe, we drink, and we poop. So do they. So they poop inside of us. I know that sounds gross, but it's true. So a lot of times the feeling and the symptoms of unwellness is because we actually react to their poop. Their poop is toxic. I mean, what do we do with our poop? We eliminate it and then off it goes. It's nowhere near us. If we're near it, we get sick. Same thing with them. Their poop does not belong inside. That's why they poop it out. Yet it stays inside our bodies. It's toxic to our bodies. And what it does is it creates that sense of unwellness. It creates the sense of disease. Some common parasites are in the stomach. They're in the gut. And if you've heard of any of them, they are things like, they're called hookworms or threadworms, tapeworms. We also have skin parasites like scabies, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, like I said up until now, they eat off of what we give them. And they let us know that they're there. When they poop, we know they're there because we don't feel well. We get stomach pain, we get stomach cramps, we vomit, we have gas, diarrhea, aches and pains, itching. Things like rectal itching, when you see kids that they have rectal itching, oftentimes it's because they probably have worms. Um, so simple reactions is the excrement of these parasites. That's the telltale sign. As far as addressing them, because I know that you asked, how do we address them? It's basically the way we take them in is the way that we can kill them. Like exactly like Hippocrates said, food is your medicine. You want to use it as medicine. So the best way to do that is to have a strong immune system. We go back to the immune system because the immune system will look at these parasites and recognize that they're invaders. They don't belong in our body, and it's able to go after them and eliminate them. So eating a balanced diet that is rich in what is good for us and for our immune system, but really terrible for these parasites, is what we got to do. So what are some of those things? Things like garlic, raw garlic, for example, really good for us, really bad for them. Coconut oil, it contains lauric acid, which is an antiviral, anti-inflammatory, anti-parasitic. So that's a really great one. Berberine is another one. Black walnut, golden seal. You could find this in tincture format. Grapeseed extract. Propolis, which we get from bees. Wormwood. I know that sounds, worm really, but yes, that's what it's called. It's called wormwood. Oregano oil is really great. Another one, antifungal, antiparasitical, anti-inflammatory. Black seed oil, another great one. It comes from cumin seeds. So consuming these is a good way to start killing them. But a clean body overall, like as the diet as an overall, I don't want people to go out and buy golden seal and think, oh, I'm taking golden seal, I'll kill off all the parasites and I'll be okay, but I'll continue with my really poor diet and poor lifestyle. That's not how it works. You want to make sure that you have a clean body, and of course that's achieved through, like you said, working out, a great diet. And you want to make sure that the clean body just does not support the survival of these parasites. So the cleaner the internal environment, the more unsuitable it is for them, and they won't be able to survive.
There you go. And I hate the idea of anything coming in my body and pooping in me. So hopefully that's enough. That's enough motivation for you guys to clean up the diet a bit. And when you encounter these things as well, your body can get rid of them, right? My last main question will be, and I'll backtrack a bit because I felt like this was really important. Early in our conversation, you spoke about nutrient deficiency, right? And during your practice, I'll just give me one. I don't want you to go into detail because I want to have, I want to be able to filter people to your website and your practice. But what's the one thing you're finding in your practice that we're nutrient deficient in, right? And how can we correct it?
So it's difficult to say because different people have different deficiencies. So let's talk about iron. So I work with a lot of people, and I have people in my family who are anemic. So it goes so much deeper than just the fact that you don't take it in. A nutrition or a nutrient deficiency overall is as a result of people are not eating that particular nutrient. But then there are also people, and that's the reason why it's important to work with a professional so we can sort of identify exactly where the issue lies. There are people who eat a lot of meat, let's say, and typically if you eat meat, you're supposed to get in the iron. So that I'm talking about, like I said, somebody in my family is anemic, meat eater. So by virtue of that fact, it's expected that they would be able to get all the iron they need because they get it from the meat. However, this individual's anemic has been their whole life. So what I had to do is I had to go in and look and say, okay, so you're taking in the nutrient, but is the body actually utilizing it? Are you absorbing that nutrient that you're giving to your body? Because if there's an imbalance and the body's not able to absorb or to utilize that particular nutrient, you could take it in until the cows come home, no pun intended. But you're not going to be able, your body's not going to be able to do with anything. So the erroneous thing that people do when it comes to these nutritional deficiencies, they go in and they buy supplements and they start taking them thinking like, I'm helping myself. And typically, like if you're going to be getting that sense of wellness and you feel like it's alleviated your symptoms, clearly it's benefiting you. But when it comes to iron, for example, it's actually difficult because people take iron supplements and it can actually lead to cirrhosis of the liver if you take too much iron. It's one of those things that's that detrimental. So It's better to actually clean the system so that it can absorb it from the foods that you eat than you go and mega dose by taking the supplement. So again, it's important to work with a professional so we could see where the imbalance is, where the gap is, whether it's related to your diet, or whether it's related that your diet is actually, you're taking in the nutrient, but your body is not able to actually have access to it and utilize it to give you that sense of wellness.
Great. That's Simone. Thank you so much for it. Like, honestly, we covered a lot. We went over the detox. We went over sugar addiction as well. We spoke about parasites. Just the benefits, right, of having specifically more so on the raw side of things, raw veggies and fruit. Thank you for defining, the alkaline versus acidity in our bodies. Like, this was a lot of information, guys, and I really want to encourage you guys to check her out. She supplied us, and thank you for this, Simone, with a meal plan, a sample meal plan, and I'm going to share that on our blog section on fithealthwell.com. So we're going to have a write up, and we're going to include the blog, the meal plan that she included, and it's very, very thorough. It's instructions on how to prepare them, and it is. I like to look at it as a springboard to just read a really good nutritional plan. So check that out, and then afterwards, I encourage you to check out her website and her information as well. And I'm going to give her the opportunity, Simone. This is going to be the opportunity to tell people how to find you.
Absolutely. First off, thanks again so much for the opportunity to chat, Jay. It gives me such pleasure to talk about things that are near and dear to me and I love so much and I'm passionate about. I thank you so much for that, for the opportunity. I can be found on Facebook as the Detox Doctor. I'm big on detox. That's my go-to to make sure that people clean the environment inside to be able to get access to true amazing health. I'm also on Instagram at the.detox.doctor, so the Detox Doctor. On LinkedIn, they can find me simply as Simone Gisondi, like you said, with my name. And I'm launching my YouTube channel very soon. I'm going to be dropping some more information and wisdom related to all kinds of things as far as health and beauty is concerned, because beauty starts from within. So we make sure that the diet actually gets us to that. The best way to get a hold of me is either via email, and the email address is simply simone@thedetoxificationdoctor.com. That they can do through my website. Or they could find me at the clinic where I practice, and that's Rose Health Clinic right here in Toronto. And to book me, you can call 694-ROSE. That's 416-694-ROSE. And I encourage everybody, all your listeners, to become one of the 15,167 people, because I do keep track, of the people who snagged the free detox ebook by heading over to my website, thedetoxificationdoctor.com. And get in touch with me to take advantage of the no obligation free 45-minute consult that I have going right now, as well as 30% discount off of any of the detox programs that we just discussed. And this offer expires on August 14th. What better time to invest in health than now before flu season's coming?
That's right, guys. That's right. And she's based in Toronto. Simone, do you, just for anyone in the States or, outside of Canada as well, do you do virtual consultations as well? Is that a service you offer?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you asked, Jay, because definitely, especially with COVID and, clinics and everything was closed, I moved a lot of my stuff to the virtual realm. So I did do a lot of Zoom calls. I did FaceTime and phone calls, of course. I mean, a lot of my programs, everything that I send to all my clients by email so that they can print out, so that they can have with them. They can refer to it anytime. Of course, I'm reachable by email, and a lot of people text me so that they consult with things. And very important, and I'm so glad that you brought that up, the meal plans. It's sometimes people need meal plans that are very in-depth to be able to address some of the issues that they're facing. But sometimes people just need to say, you know what? I just want to eat better. I don't need to go and get myself diagnosed or anything like that. But if I can get somebody to teach me how to eat better. So meal planning is one of the things that I do, one of the services I offer. And it gives me great pleasure, just like you said, you appreciated it. It's so great to give people a variety of things and to show them that to eat healthy does not mean you have to eat just salads.
There you go. Thank you so much. And again, guys, if you want to check her out, I would direct you towards the website. It's thedetoxificationdoctor.com. And then again, if you'd like to shoot her an email for her services, it's Simone@thedetoxificationdoctor.com. detoxificationdoctor.com. And again, we're going to have all that information for our YouTube channel. As you're looking at this on our YouTube channel, it is flying across the screen. If you are listening to the podcast version of this program, I encourage you to go to the website where we will include all of her information on our special blog post that will include her meal plan. Again, she's based in Toronto, as I previously asked. For those living outside of Canada, and especially in the COVID era, she is taking virtual consultations. So take advantage of this, and she's giving percentages off as well. You've gotten a lot of value for free, guys. So just make sure that you check her out, because I'm pretty sure the services you pay for, you will get value for that. And again, it's an investment in your health. This is, and I'm going to piggyback off of what Simone said as well. This is a very important time to invest in your health. We're going into flu season. From my perspective and what the experts are saying, COVID is not going away anytime soon. So you might as well invest in your body, build that immune system up, and give yourself the best fighting chance you can at that. And why not better than by seeking the help of a professional? So again, thank you so much, Simone, for coming on our show today. I encourage people to check her out. And then again, if you guys continue to, thank you guys for continuing to support our show. Again, for our new listeners and people that are interested in our program, you can always shoot us an email at fithealthwell@gmail.com. And if you'd like to check out just what the work we've done and what our mission is, and just to keep up to date on what we have on our program, just go to fithealthwell.com. And then you can check out our Instagram as well. Same thing, fit.health.well. And then you can also check out our Facebook page. Same thing, fithealthwell.com. FitHealthWell, sorry, that's just for the Facebook. And again, thank you guys for checking in. I'm very, very grateful. And then again, Simone, thank you so much. I'm always grateful when we have professionals come on our show and give us their time to share their expertise. We have a mission of introducing a healthy alternative to the public, serving the needs of the public by creating digital content as it relates to health and wellness. And we will continue to do that. So thank you guys for listening And then thank you, Simone, again for being on our show. This is Jay.
All the thanks to you, Jay. Thank you so much. You've done such a great job. And I love your podcast. Amazing that you bring people so much valuable information they could take advantage of. So thank you. All the thanks goes to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And again, guys, thank you so much. Just make sure you check everything out. And I love you. Check you on the next episode. Have a great day, everyone.